All right. Welcome, everyone, to IoT Happy Hour number 24. The little red marker at the top left of my screen says we're live, so I'm just assuming we are. I'm David. I am developer advocate at Balena, and I am joined by John and Alan from our team. Guys, you've been on before. You want to say hello?
Sure. John Tonello, technical marketing lead here at Balena. And I did some of the initial investigation to the project that David's going to do live today. So if you need someone to blame, it'll be me.
All right. And Alan, you want to say a quick hello?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Hey, I'm Alan. I'm one of the hardware hackers here at Balena, and I'm fairly new to modems. This is one area that I haven't really had time or materials to get involved with, so I'm really looking forward today. I have all my parts here, and I'm ready to follow along and learn something today.
Awesome. All right. So as you guys just alluded to real quick, we are going to build some cellular 4G LTE connected Raspberry Pis today. And that is something that I don't know anything about either. We made John be the guinea pig, but we're going to do a live build. So if any of the viewers have these parts, which we're going to show off in just a moment, by all means, follow along. We're all going to learn, except for John. I guess he knows how to do it. But Alan and I are going to try to do a live build. And I said my prayer to the demo gods. But
I should say too that like Alan, I hadn't done cellular stuff before, and I think part of the challenge I had was I thought it would be a lot harder than it was. So the particular hat that we're using is obviously supported in our ecosystem and that sort of stuff. But I was trying too hard at certain points to get it working, and I boiled it down through all my sweat, tears, heartache. So
hopefully it's going to be easy and smooth. Hopefully it'll be a smooth show for Alan and I then.
Hopefully. I'm ready though for if I have a little failure, I'll learn.
Yeah, it's all right. So we may end up failing, but we're going to have fun along the way, and that's what counts. So I had tweeted out a picture a day or two ago of the parts that we're going to be using. We'll do what's on your desk in just a moment, but I am going to just switch camera so that folks know what we're about to dive into is going to be this stuff right here. So we've got a Pi, we've got a Twilio Super SIM, we've got a QuickTel modem, and we've got a 6-fab hat and some antennas, and we'll get through and discuss all those parts in detail as we go. But with that said, John or Alan, do you have anything new on your desk that you want to show, or should we call this what's on your desk?
I don't know if it qualifies, but we've been doing some cleaning out lately, and my wife handed me this. She actually handed me 2 of them, and it's an iPod Nano Shuffle, and I haven't seen one of these in a long time. In fact, when I was looking at how to set this thing up on my Linux daily driver, I'm like, what's inside this thing? And it's basically a USB, with some nice buttons on it. And I was struggling to get this thing connected, and it turns out because it has this special, if you remember, I'm really going back in time, it has this little special thing that connects into like the earphone jack.
I haven't seen that in about a decade.
Right, that's about how old this thing is. And this plugs into USB. And it turns out that this thing was actually bad, and fortunately I had 2 of them, because I was like, why isn't that not working? It's just a simple little USB driver, what should show up without a problem. So figured that out, and if anybody is in the Apple world, and I'm not, there are actually quite a few nice tools that you can run on Linux to interact with this thing in any iPad Apple world device. I haven't gone into my iTunes store in a long time because I'm a Spotify guy. I had like 2 albums. One was like Boston, and something. Yeah, one other one. I'm like, wow, this whole ecosystem's terrible. I can't just add music to my thing. It's still clearly designed for pop in your CD into your drive, copy over your files, do MP3 conversion on the fly. But it's so small, and I thought, this might be good for when I'm mowing. I can do that. So it's sort of a flashback. And I did put my Boston on there. So
you need to crack open the broken one and see what's inside.
Yeah, that's true. I should. I'll probably get thunder and lightning.
Knock on the door.
Right, knock on the door from the ghost of Steve Jobs. What are you doing?
Alan, well, hold on a minute. John, can you give us unfortunately, we transitioned without our video. Can you give us the proper introduction?
Oh, yeah. Just let me see.
What's on your desk?
Only Chris were here.
Chris is here in spirit, but not in body.
Spirit, yeah, that's okay. We'll take it. All right, Alan, you have anything on your desk, or is it all pretty much the same parts as what I'm staring at?
No, I have one new item here. I always have something new on my desk. I bought this little device. Ooh. I don't know if we've shown one of these before. I forget. But
hold on a minute. Let me put the camera on you. Yeah, there you go. John beat me to it. What is that thing?
It is an I2C analyzer. Basically, you can see the waveform there. You can actually see the data on the I2C bus, and you can choose any of these devices. I have a BME 680. I'm getting the audible pings here, but I have the BME 680 attached to it. So you can see I was reading some data at the bottom there. Now I don't have it attached to in between live communication, but otherwise you would see the that waveform at the bottom just streaming along with the data that's going back and forth. So it's something cool for troubleshooting the bus and seeing what the data is on there.
That's what I was just gonna say. So what is the purpose? I mean, you're looking to make sure that the device itself is functioning properly? Is that that's the whole purpose here? To make sure that the BME 680 is actually working?
Yeah, that I can read the data and what data is
the actual out. Okay, I see what you're saying. The actual data coming off of the device. Yep.
The actual data is at the bottom here.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
That's awesome.
You can see. Yeah.
What's above it? Are those numbers?
Those are the IDs, I believe. You can read from any of the IDs. I just started trying it out, so I don't have all the answers with it, but it is really cool. And I bought it so I could look at various data on various buses, and also for, of course, hacking purposes.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right.
That's cool. We had a question.
Question has come in from iShot JR. Who makes that thing?
I2C driver. I think. What is it here?
Got a link for it anywhere?
I will add a link. What does that say? X Camera Labs. EX Camera Labs. So I believe if you just search for X Camera Labs and look for the I2C driver, it's available also on Adafruit and on as well.
How much?
That is $29. Oh, so it's nice for $29 bucks. You get a whole color LCD display, and it comes
Yeah.
with the connectors.
Can you
as well,
repurpose that LCD? Yeah.
That's
I was
right.
going to say that the resolution of that LCD is pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's nice. It's pretty nice.
Wow.
Right. Very cool.
I didn't even know to look for something like that, or did you stumble across it?
I had seen it before somewhere. I think it was on like a crowd supply or Kickstarter at one point. I could be wrong about that, but but it's great for troubleshooting. And I have another BME 680 around here somewhere that doesn't seem to be working. So I'm looking forward to connecting it to that and seeing if it's actually pushing any data across. So
it's funny, you know, it's not on my desk, but every time we do this segment, I start to salivate over that soldering iron that a couple of people have.
Yeah. Everybody's got their IoT screwdriver and IoT soldering iron. And this week I saw digital calibration, not calibration, tweezers. Tweezers. Everybody's got all these like fancy devices. I have none of them.
I have a tab open in my browser that I refuse to close because I don't want to lose this thing.
Alan, and the responsible parties for the buzzing are right.
It does seem to cache those button presses. I haven't investigated exactly where it's doing that. It's a feature, right?
Yeah, it's a feature. That's what it is.
Well, it's interesting that it does cache them, right?
Yeah.
That you know that if it's an emergency alert tool, regardless of the network latency, you want to know what happened.
Yeah, I think it's part of I'm using a WebSocket, so I think that might be part of it, why it's caching, but I need to look into that further. But yeah, I mean, it's a good thing, so yeah.
All right. Well, what do you think? You want to attempt to do a live build on this Twilio SIM card and see what happens? You feeling...
Sounds good.
I'm right. I should note that when I did this originally, the Raspberry Pi it's a Raspberry Pi 4 I have connected, is on both Ethernet and Wi-Fi. So my goal of success was seeing that third IP address from Cellular, even though I wasn't pushing any data. There's no services that I needed to push, so I wasn't too worried about throughput, but technically I guess you could do this all with just the Cellular. Depends on your budget.
Yeah, we'll talk about that as well. So let's do this. All right, Alan, yours are still in the box, correct?
Yep. I'm going to provide the unboxing if necessary.
That's what I was just going to say.
To enjoy that aspect.
Yeah.
Which part? What should I go for first here? What do I need to?
So I'm going to switch my camera back, but let's also have you on screen as well. And let me see what
I'll just follow along with you and
see if you can find. So your Pi, of course, is separate. Your Twilio Super SIM looks like this. Did it come boxed or not boxed?
Yeah, no, it was separate.
Okay.
Now the SIM, I noticed it. Is this like two different sizes built in here?
Yeah,
what we're very large.
Yeah, what we're going to have to do here is it comes in both a full-size SIM or the smaller, actually, I think I might even see 3 different sizes.
Yeah.
I don't know if my camera will focus.
It is 3, yeah.
So once you break that off, you're done, right? You can't make it larger. You can make it smaller,
you can't make it
larger.
I have adapters. So I made it the smallest I could.
It's really neat how small these have gotten. Have you seen?
Yeah.
I have this SIM card here from the 70s. Do you remember? Look how big these are.
That's not a SIM card. Get out of here. What is that? Hold on a minute. I'm putting the screen back on you. What was that thing?
This is a 1970 SIM card, of course.
No, that is
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm
that's
just
an
kidding about that.
IBM 8086 motherboard, I think
Yes.
is what that is.
This is one of the first, I believe, IBM PCs. But if
Yeah,
there were SIM cards in the 70s, it probably would look something like this.
yeah, probably.
This is the handy kit I have, by the way. You can see. It's just got a bunch of adapters, and they have a thin film over the opening, so you can immediately resize and reuse any device. Like here are two of the larger ones.
So looking at,
I stuck this thing in my phone just to try it.
so do you know, John, because you have already done yours, is it the smallest one on?
No, it's the second smallest one.
It's the medium one? All right, so
Yeah,
I'm going to go for the medium one then.
It's the one that it most wants to break off as from the.
Oh, that's convenient.
Oh, great. So,
this is the actual modem itself.
okay.
Yes.
So Alan's got his modem there. That is a Quectel EC25A. A for Americas. There is also a G for global, and then I didn't look because I'm not in Europe, but I suspect there's a -E for European. I shot JR. Do you know off the top of your head what the other ones are? Let's give him a moment to see. We'll pull it up on Google in just a bit. All right, so I've got my Twilio out, but I'm still on the largest one, so I'm going to try to remove the. Oh yeah, this is going to be tough to get this out of here.
It should be the size of a micro SD card when you're done.
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous with this. I don't want to go too small.
Ah, what's the worst that could happen?
I don't have John's adapters lying around here.
Okay.
Because while I was testing this, the Twilio account actually talks. Yeah, that's the right size, David.
Okay.
Because you can pop these into an Android device, for example, and set up the APN to do some testing.
There we go. Yeah, I think I got
it. There it is.
Yeah, EC25-E equals Europe from Chris. Yeah, Chris is hacking us. Look at that. Yep. EC25A, EC25G, and EC25E. All right, perfect. So we've got our.
What's on your desk?
Chris was in there. Chris was in there. So I had to throw that in there.
Ah, jeez.
Just to freak him out.
Yep. All right. So our SIM card. Let's see here. It's going to go into our 6-fab base hat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unboxing that.
We've got a fit. All right. Alan, go ahead and give it an unbox over there.
Okay. So this comes with, I see we have an adapter cord. We'll get to that.
Okay.
Right? And,
A USB adapter. We're going to get to that in a few minutes.
Okay. And then this, I don't need to do any soldering today, do I?
No, you just
only if you have the electronic one do you need to.
It does come with 2 pin adapters for the GPIO, so you can slide that on.
Yeah, that's true.
And there's a long one and a short one.
Yeah, I forgot that I had already inserted mine.
So
that is true.
So it comes with these too, right?
Which was handy dandy.
That is nice.
Okay, and then
so I'm going to use the short one on mine because I do not have anything else, and I'll have enough clearance, I believe. Okay.
So the short one gets plugged in here. Line up the pins. Oh, there we go. Nice. And then the SIM card goes.
I think yours might be upside down.
Oh.
Alan.
Oh.
It needs to come up from the underside.
Right.
Is that what you did?
I'm going to add screen share on mine real quick, because what I'm going to do is pull up so folks can see. And John, can you go check if we've got the links available for these in the banners? We can put the links up for these parts and drop them into chat as well, while Alan and I are doing some hacking here, for folks to check out. So this 6-fab base hat that I'm holding is $39. So it's not a terribly expensive part by itself, but it does not come with the modem. So the modem has to be purchased separately. We were able to pick these up as a kit, and I think they were roughly $100 US for the whole kit, which also includes antennas as well. But if you already have a modem, you can get just this adapter. Now, the nice thing about the this hat, though, is that because we purchased the kit with this modem being an MPCIe slot, we can just as easily take the modem and insert it directly onto a balena fin, because on the bottom side of a balena fin is already an MPCIe slot down there. So we bought these kits just for the convenience of being able to sort of mix and match between a standard Raspberry Pi or the balena fin, and the fin has a SIM card slot already on it as well. So the hat in this case really is just for the convenience of being able to transition to a native Raspberry Pi, but the Twilio SIM card plus the Quectel modem would be enough in and of itself to bring a balena fin up connected over cellular.
So other than the SIM card, there's nothing really modem-like about the hat. If a device already has a place for a SIM card and the proper slot, you really don't need any functionality within this hat.
Right.
Yeah, correct. And
Okay.
I see Arajit is asking, yes, so you can do this on the fin using just let me see if I can get this back out of here now without breaking it. But yeah, a fin would only require these two pieces, the Quectel modem and the SIM card. But knowing that I wanted to take a Pi, actually a Pi Zero, to be perfectly honest, off the grid at some point, solar powered, I thought it better to get this hat as well. So the modem slides in at an angle and snap it down. And there are some small little spring-loaded hooks on the end that will hold it in place. And it feels pretty firm. All right. Get my SIM card.
Easy to snap in. I'm always worried about little hooks like that.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty good fit.
Yeah.
They did a good job.
It's a very solid, robust connection.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Before I put it onto the Pi, though, I'm actually going to hook up the antennas just because it looks like it might be easier to do. It comes with, now again, we bought the kit, but the kit came with a pair of antennas here. Let me see if I can get them in frame pretty well. One of them is GPS, the black one, and the white one is LTE plus cellular. So I believe, John, you had mentioned when we made you experiment with all of this that the white one.
I only got the white antenna. I didn't get the other one.
Mine came with a black one. Interesting.
Yeah, I have a black antenna also.
You got a black one? John, you probably got it and just lost it.
Probably. I probably got ripped off.
Yeah, maybe. So let's see here. You said after some trial and error that the white antenna goes on to, there are three, this is maybe going to be difficult to see here, but there's three antenna connectors. I want to say these are called UFL. Anuj might know. Or UCFL. I can't remember. There's a specific term for these, but either way, it's a little pin that will connect in here. Snap on.
It has a little protector on it, which is nice to make sure you don't damage it.
Yeah, I did remove that little plastic connector. Okay, I think mine is on.
I believe I've read in the past that there's a limited number of times these are designed to be connected and disconnected. Like, I don't know what that number is, but this is not something you'd want to do. No, you wouldn't want to do this every day for like a year. I don't think the connector is designed for that. This is like, I don't want to say a number because I don't know, but say it's like 30 lifetime connection disconnection.
Interesting.
It's like a little snap, and I've seen these inside on motherboards, and like you say, they're not really intended to be regularly.
Right. So it goes on the left.
The nice thing is that if you do move the modem, that stays attached.
Yeah, that's true, huh? Because I can snap the modem. Can I? I should be able to, remove the modem, and it's still a part of it. Okay, so I'm going to spin it a little bit. But okay, so we've got it. Snaps back in. Let's add it to our Pi. And do I have enough clearance with my heatsink down there? Yes.
Looking good.
Okay. Yep. So we have an assembled Twilio Super SIM, Quectel modem, 6-fab base hat, and a Raspberry Pi. There's one last piece. Alan, you saw this when it came out of the box. There's a USB cord, a pretty short one, that we're going to hook up. The power is being delivered over the GPIO to the modem and the SIM card and some of the other circuitry that's on here. But the actual connectivity, I believe, someone may need to correct me here, but it's going to flow across this micro USB adapter, I should say the data. So they provide this short USB cable that bridges the hat to, oops, I'm a little out of frame, sorry.
It's okay. I just got my UFL connector. I'm a little bit it took me a while to snap that in place. I think I used 6 of my 30 disconnects on.
You used up 6 of them? You got 6 left? All right. Get that Twilio back in there. Okay, so I think we have, at this point, a fully built device. Let me see. Anything else? There's no more parts laying on my desk. Alan, you have any more parts in your
no, I just there? I think other than you used the shorter one of these.
I used the short headers. Yes, mine was able to clear my heatsink. The longer one, I have to guess would be useful if you have multiple hats, if you're doing a pass through. So if you were to add another hat on top of this, I mean, you get into scenarios where then you need to think about what data it's going over what GPIO and make sure that that's all working. But, you know, if you wanted to throw a Sense hat on top of this as well, you could then use the longer pins to pass through
and pick up power and
yeah, exactly. Yeah, like
you
I
don't
said,
have
you might need to be careful about what's going where, but you could theoretically stick another hat on top. Okay.
You're not using a like a spacer to keep this from bending down, right? That's what would be recommended if this was in a permanent application, something
Yeah,
to hold this board up.
I did notice it can Pac-Man a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. So I did not, actually, I don't believe it came with any. I don't see any extra parts here.
Yeah.
There's
I
the
don't have any
pass-through
either.
hole, the mounting hole is here. So you could get some nylon or brass standoffs that you could then stick in here to keep the hat fully supported. Yeah, you can use some little spacers.
It'd be nice too, because I was looking at the temperature, and if you're attaching that stub USB cable, it's easy to sort of get the two to clamp, and then it can get a little hot under there if you don't sort of put it back to horizontal.
Yeah.
Okay, can I admit that I'm like totally made a mistake here?
Uh-oh.
Do you see this? John alluded to this earlier, and I'm like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. This is completely, see, rookie mistake here.
Let me see it.
I was trying to connect this. I'm like, how do you get this all the way?
Yeah, you did it backwards.
I did it because my eyes thought I saw solder on here. I thought these pins were soldered in. So I'm like, how could you do it any other way? But now I see that it is not soldered. So easy fix. But
those are tight. I had to I needed a little tiny screwdriver to release that header.
Easy fix though, easy enough to.
All right. So while you're finishing that up, I am going to grab the links to the parts and drop them into chat, unless I missed it and you already did that, John. But that's okay. Let's grab.
And I should add that we're using a Super SIM from Twilio. And obviously, you can use a SIM from any vendor. Twilio also has a regular. They don't call it regular SIM, but it's just their SIM. But it matters when you're going into the account. In our case, the Twilio dashboard to basically configure the SIM to work. There's a code on the SIM itself, and there's a registration code on the back of that card.
Yeah.
But in our case, they're different, right? So we're not using the standard SIM, and we're not using the standard Twilio SIM, and we're not using their standard Twilio APN. We're using the Super SIM and doing that. Are you going to walk through any of the Twilio?
Yeah,
stuff?
let's pull that up real quick. Not specifically the account not specifically the account stuff, but yeah, so this is the one that we're using right here, is the Twilio Super SIM. And the nice thing about this is that it's this SIM card is actually global. So yes, we had to choose modems based on our region. So Chris, I know, is watching. He has, an EC25-E because he's based in the UK, and some of the other folks around, Balena being a globally distributed company, will have various other modems, but we all have the same SIM card. In the Twilio dashboard, what you can do is choose a provider. So we set up ours here in the US. Alan, you're in Pennsylvania. John, you're in New York. We chose AT&T/T-Mobile, but you can choose other providers as well. So Twilio is carrier, or the Super SIM, I should say, is carrier independent. You can use the same SIM card for your entire fleet of devices. And we'll do a later episode. This is our, our build episode. Later, we'll do a fleet episode where we'll bring all of these cards, or I should say all of these devices, into one balenaCloud application and do a deployment. The thing about that is going to be, we'll have one Twilio Super SIM account. I'll be able to track data. I'll be able to track usage. I'll be able to see whose device is, pulling more bandwidth than others, who's misbehaving. But the point there is that it's nice to have a single, unified, globally available SIM card provider. So yeah, we'll have to, when you're deploying devices into the field, and from the balenaCloud aspect of, having a global fleet, you'll need to be aware of which modems you're using. But as mentioned, this Quectel, I've got the A for Americas, but there is a G for global. So you really could truly, in that scenario, build an IoT device that can go anywhere and can be shipped and mailed to anywhere in the world. So the Twilio Super SIM is pretty convenient in that aspect.
The one thing, because I was new to the whole cell world and APNs, which of course, if you've ever toyed around on your cell phone with, networks, this is that setting.
Yeah.
And with Twilio, regardless of whether you're using AT&T or Verizon or any other provider, you're always using a Twilio APN, not the vendor APN.
Gotcha. Interesting. All right. So the last piece I'll show I had up earlier is the base hat. So there's the 6Fab base hat. So I've got all the links, I think, into the comments, so folks can check those out. All right. So the next step is we are going to need to bring this thing online. So let's do this. I've got my balenaCloud dashboard open, and I'm going to create an application. And I will call it Twilio. Actually, I'll call it Twilio Super. And, whoa, I have a typo. It actually just tried to autocorrect on me, I think. Blame the computer.
It's a feature.
All right. It's a feature. I'm going to choose a Raspberry Pi 4. I'm on a paid account here, so I have microservices available, but Starter would work as well. Alan, are you going to provision yours as well, or just simply do the build?
No, I'm going to provision as well. Now I'm using a 3B plus.
Okay.
So should I use just the 3, or should I do the 64-bit so I could do what you're following along?
That is a great question. John, did you use a 3 or a 4? Let's start there.
I used a 4. I would just use the standard for what you would use.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to create the application.
And like I said, I did some later testing by adding a service to the application, but initially I just added a device, added the app and provisioned it.
Gotcha. All right. Next, we need to add a device. We have an application with no devices in it at the moment. I think I'm going to choose development in case things go awry. I'm going to leave connectivity on Ethernet only. I'm so used to clicking Wi-Fi plus Ethernet, but I'm going to leave it on Ethernet only just so that we can ensure, and I don't have an Ethernet cable that's going to reach over here anyway, so we're going to truly validate that this thing connects over cellular in this scenario. All right, so download my OS. That will take just a moment to come down. In the meantime, let's close that. Close this out. Looks like the OS is downloading, and I'm going to take a quick glance at comments. Do we have any questions roll in from the audience? Let's see. Arajit,
I haven't seen
stickers. We'll get you some stickers, Arajit. Just a little behind on the comments. All right. No, no questions. Looks like we are. Met someone else. Cool. All right. So that is downloaded. Decompressing zip file. Okay, we're getting there.
And I should say you don't need to. In the scenario that I did, because what you have to do is add a specific network setting, and this has to be done off the device. So it has to be done on your workstation. And there's a couple ways to do this, and I tried them both. When you download that zip file, as David just did, normally when you use Balena Etcher, you don't need to unzip it. And in this example, I think he's going to keep it unzipped and flash it to the SD card and then do edits there. The other option is to unzip it and then loop mount your image that comes out of that to do the edits, and then unmount that loop mount and then flash that edited version. That's multi-step and a little more complicated. So in this case, it's easier to flash the raw image and make your edits on the SD card on your workstation before going to the next steps.
Yeah.
And these, I have this page somewhere, so I'm gonna share it. I used to have this page.
Not quite ready. Twilio.image. Looks like it's still just finished unzipping. All right, there we go. Now we can try it. Cloud. Oh, so many Balena clouds. Twilio, there it is.
This is if you go to the Balena docs
there.
This is a cellular modem setup, and normally if you're deploying a device, provisioning a device, as you saw, usually if you're not using wireless, you're just using Ethernet, there's a network manager configuration file that's basically deployed automatically. Same thing if you add Wi-Fi credentials, it'll add that information in a network manager profile. What you're doing is creating a network manager profile specifically for cellular, which is very, very similar to an Ethernet or a Wi-Fi configuration.
Okay, we are going to start flashing.
So you're burning, David. You're burning the zip file. You didn't unzip it?
I did not. I'm going to attempt. Keyword is attempt. Again, we're. Uh-oh. Hang on. What happened here? Select target. Generic. Flash. There we go.
There we go. Yeah. While it's doing that, you can create your your system connections file.
Yeah, so I do need to do that. Okay, so let's get a text editor open.
Okay. Now I'm using Windows for this. So
you're doing
I want to make sure I don't have the line ending. Could that be an issue?
Yeah.
So I'm using.
It should be, but
I'm using a text editor that does allow me to choose.
Oh yeah. Hold on a minute. You're right. Plain text. Yeah. There we go. Now,
No gremlins allowed.
okay. Now, where is that blob of text? Okay. So what we need, and this comes from our documentation, but what we need is a connection profile. I'm going to drop this in here, which essentially defines two.
You want to zoom in a little bit?
Yeah, I don't know if I can now that I'm on plain text. Let me see here.
There was a zoom under view there.
Zoom. Whoa! Oh, it didn't make text any bigger. Look at that. Let's see if we can just do a simple control. Nope. Now that I'm on. All right, I'll turn it back off of plain text, but then we can do it like this. Okay.
There you go.
So what we're doing is essentially defining the connectivity so that Balena OS knows how to access and connect over this cellular modem. So it's pretty simple. The ID equals cell, type equals GSM, auto connect equals true. That all makes sense. The APN equals super. Super is defined by Twilio. So we got that from their documentation. That's their designated APN. Serial 115.200, IPv4 auto, IPv6. I don't even know if we're going to make use of, but John, did that IPv6, that was our default configuration right there, I think?
Right. So
Yeah,
in this, the APN for regular Twilio SIMs is wireless.twilio.com.
Gotcha. So the APN here is specific to the fact that we're using the Super SIM then. Okay.
Right, and that is the Twilio APN.
Yeah.
If you're using a card directly from some vendor, that's going to match.
Okay. All right. So with the SD card flashed, I am taking it out of my laptop and I'm going to actually reinsert it. And my laptop should mount it as a device now. Yep, it sure did.
And you should see, do you have a...
I'm going to bring this over to here. So what it did was it mounted the resin boot partition. And the resin boot partition, after a freshly flashed image, contains this folder called System Connections. And there's a README and a resin-sample. In fact, what I think I'm going to do is rename this one to Cellular. Now I'm going to open this. Let's see if I can open it with text editor. My laptop is struggling a bit. I do apologize. Come on, search, text, edit, open. Yeah, all right. So let's set this back to plain text just so that I don't get any funny formatting. And I'm going to replace that. And save. Close the old one out.
And the reason that you have to do this on the device is that once you put this in your Raspberry Pi and fire it up, this becomes a read-only file system. So you can't add this on the running Raspberry Pi or whatever
Yep.
device you're using. Sometimes when you're doing what David just did, you're going to get permission errors and things like that. So just make sure that when you're creating that, it's under your current user and that sort of thing.
Yep. Okay, so now I'm going to eject the SD card back out and switch my camera back, and let's see this thing power up.
So what this would do, if you had a wireless connection also, there would have been a wireless profile in that system connections folder.
Yeah, correct.
Because that was configured.
Yeah, I left
Right.
Wi-Fi.
And you won't
Unchecked.
see an Ethernet one in there, because the way the Balena OS works is that it's sort of a defaulted configuration. But this is also where if you were going to set up a static IP address for your Ethernet connection or Wi-Fi, where you would create a file and edit it.
Yeah, so you've got a lot of control in that folder there. All right, so
And I can confirm that it works similarly in Windows to what David just did. You have to reinsert the SD card. It pops up as resin boot, another drive, and then edit the same way that David did. It's similar.
When I did it on Linux, of course, it sees all 5 partitions on that. So if you're using a Linux workstation to do the flashing and all this work, you will see 5 partitions, but they're all labeled, and you should see resin boot as the first, which also shows up as dev SDA1 on my system as well, since I have a solid state drive in this laptop.
All right. So we've got, let's see here.
Who's going to get there first?
Well, we don't have power yet on mine. Let's get some power.
Okay.
You're switching over to SpaceX Live and blast off. And Alan, it looks like you're going to use Ethernet and cellular.
Yeah. Right. Or well, so it needs to have some internet connection before we get to the cellular. Or are we saying that it should theoretically just start right up with cellular data? Is that what we're?
It should.
Okay.
And David's gonna eat up all of our throughput.
Yeah.
Well, I'll save this a little, and then I'll pull my Ethernet connector out after I've downloaded the application.
Okay, go to brand. Hold on. Turn off our.
I should note that I'm just going to show David's screen here. There's it's a little blurry, but just to the right of that micro USB connector is a little button, which does indeed turn on and off the LTE. So if when in doubt and you're leaving for a while and you don't want to burn up your cellular credits and cost yourself some money, you can touch that button and turn off cellular entirely.
Now,
regardless of that, though, that blue light continues to flash. As I discovered the other night, I was coming up to bed, and I'm like, "What the hell's going on in my bed?" It was like there was, some UFOs were landing. That blue light is pretty bright.
So I have.
What do you have there? Is it?
I've got a flashing. Let me see here. I have red LED on the Pi and the 4 blink green LED on the Pi, which I believe means no connectivity. On the 6-fab hat, I have red LED for power and then a heartbeat light, the blue one, every few minutes for status. So we don't have any connectivity yet. Let's see here.
I have a feeling what's happening is that it in deploying that base OS to the device, that has the kernels, the kernel headers and everything that you need. So I think without that, it may not work. Where Alan's is using Ethernet. I don't know if you have your dashboard up, Alan, if it's if your device has showed up.
Yeah,
well, my LED, the blue LED has now turned pretty solid on mine. Let me put me on. So something is happening. We have some kind of action or activity here.
And your SIM is registered, right, in the account?
Oh, that's a good point. I had set it to ready, but that reminds me that I'll need to activate Alan's.
Oh, that might help.
Yeah, that will help. Yeah, but you're on Ethernet.
I'm on Ethernet. Yeah. No, my device has shown up in my dashboard. The only IP address it has is the internal local Ethernet IP address. And the blue light is still flashing.
Phil had this question, doesn't it power off the GPIO? And I believe it does, but it does not take USB off of the GPIO, which is what that connector is. The connector is not providing power that I know of. It's just providing the data link. And if you do an LS USB on your device in the host OS, you will indeed see the cellular connection. You'll see the USB as a connected device, in other words.
I don't see anything in my dashboard yet. The blue light is now fairly solid, but still blinking.
And in Twilio, your SIM card is registered.
Yeah, well, about that. It does not want to allow me to log in. What is the problem here? Okay.
And I think Chris set up mine in the account, and I took the actual ID number off of the SIM and gave it to him when I think it was in our account, and he associated it.
Twilio will not log in. What's going on there? Mine is set though, so mine should have been able to connect. Well, we may have to have yours turn on, John. Is yours still actually running?
Yes.
Said my prayer to the demo gods, and sure enough, it wasn't enough to get our device running. How long did it take for yours to get a lock?
Not very long. Like what because it's doing polling.
Yeah.
Fairly.
All right. Finally got logged in to Twilio. Let's get Alan's. All right. Let's see here.
Be interesting to see how long it takes. Let me know when you activate that, and I'll do a countdown and see how long it takes for the network to recognize that.
Sorry,
I'm going to activate. And actually what I'll do is...
So this is mine, called 6Fab. And you can see I have 3 addresses: my Ethernet, the cellular is the second address, and the Wi-Fi is the third address. And here I've put in, doing some experimentation with Prometheus and Grafana to do, and Node Explorer to get some information. But you can definitely see in here that it is working. And if let me see if I can get in here. Can you see this? Yeah. So if I go to the host and I do zoom this out, you can see all my devices in here, and this is the device itself as it's seen. And that's the current address. I did notice that the address changes quite a bit. Here's the LSUSB on the host OS of my device, and you can see this port 4 is in fact the QMI WWLAN, which is the name for that. Mm-hmm. If I go in here and do I just forgot the name of my device. It has some very long, unrememberable interface name.
Alan, what are the last 3 digits on the number on your Twilio Super SIM? It's written on the back in the print.
The last 3 numbers.
Digits.
Let's check that.
So here I'm pinging from that interface to Google. And if I do...
What was it, Alan? Say again?
271.
271. Nah, check the...
Are you talking about the eight characters?
No,
10
further
characters.
down under the barcode. It's it's about it's about 15 characters.
Yep. Last 3 digits are 271.
So in each case here, I'm pinging from each different device to Google, and you can see I am getting traffic.
Well, I don't have a 271. Oh, here it is. Yes. All right. Here it is. Yes. And it is active. You are active. So.
Okay. So that is 514. 105.14. Let's see how long it takes. So that would change me from a flashing blue to a steady blue?
It should. Although mine is active and mine has a slowly flashing blue. It is not connecting. So
mine
has been a fail. That's okay.
We had the fun part.
Yeah, we had fun. Who cares?
Now mine just connected, and it took 31 seconds from when you activated it.
Yours connected?
Yeah, now I have a second IP address for the modem.
Did you hook up the white antenna or the black one?
The white antenna.
And it's on the furthest from the header? Yeah, it's identical to mine.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that we were able to get one of them going, but mine sure is not.
I guess the only difference is the Ethernet then, right?
Yeah, the Ethernet, but...
Yeah, and like I say, I don't know what the throughput is. You can check through the Twilio dashboard. Like, you should be able to see, since I just did some pinging, David, you should see some activity. I should have used up a couple of cents worth of data.
Oh, no.
And for Alan's the connection's just sitting there, so you won't see any activity because in his case the Ethernet is handling communication. But if he does a ping like I did, ping-I with the interface name to Google or something, it'll begin using some of the data. And even though it's obviously it's a ping, it's a very, very light, but that did show up in the Twilio dashboard as usage properly.
All right.
And I'm wondering, the way, because as I was going through this process, I did a lot of reading about, what's exactly happening under the covers, and there are drivers that are built into the Balena OS kernel that support this particular hat and modem. So what's happening is it is identifying through that USB connection that device exists, and it does load the proper driver to enable it, and it does enable it without having to do anything, as Alan just found, right? You didn't have to go through and do anything to. You don't need a container with special drivers in it to enable any of that stuff. It's all built into the Balena OS, and you'll be able to see some of the supported modems too on our Docs website. But once you go through that process, and I'm wondering in the process of provisioning that device, it has to boot up the information, and I wonder if like a reboot on your device. I was
just gonna say, what about a good old-fashioned power cycle?
Because now that because you don't need to have anything, you don't need networking to initially install the OS, right? But it wouldn't have in that boot process known about the cellular piece because the kernel may not have picked it up.
I have to wonder.
I'd be curious, Alan, if you unplug your Ethernet, if it remains active.
Yeah, I'll give it a try.
I haven't been able to do that because I also added Wi-Fi to mine, so I have to go through and disable a couple things. So I'm like, I don't want to. Ooh, that was
traumatic.
An Ethernet striptease.
I like to think of it more as like dropping the microphone.
Yeah.
Let's see. I am still online. Yep.
You're still online? All right. Yeah. Well, we had a 50% success rate. That's okay. We'll take it.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Right. But that's what I mean about it being not as difficult. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of moving parts and steps that you have to go through. But this is sort of like a base provision. There's no services or containers required to get it configured. I personally found the hardest thing was figuring out the APN because it wasn't obvious anywhere, even in their documentation, and in where to attach that antenna, because the words that are printed on that board did not match what was in the
docs. I wonder if we have a newer version or an other way around, older version, and the docs don't match. Oh, interesting.
No, it was a Twilio docs, not the Balena.
The Twilio doc. Okay.
Right. Gotcha. So, and I only had the one antenna, so there are some pictures for other things, but it is that main connector, and it does matter because these things, like certain Bluetooth, it just doesn't work without the antenna. Unless you're sitting on top of a cell tower, I imagine.
Thanks for doing all that legwork, John. I knew if I waited long enough, I wouldn't have to figure all that out.
I'm glad it was worth it. I'll be curious, Alan, with your rig with only cell, if you put, like, I created an iPerf service just using Alpine as the base OS for that service, and pushed iPerf and had it on start run iPerf -S, which sets it into server mode, which I'm able to use that for my Ethernet and Wi-Fi, but not for my cellular connection for whatever reason. But because I have multiples, there might be some priority that's being set there, and it's just not answering. But that's a very small container. I think it was like 60 megs, but it could probably be even smaller. And running iPerf is pretty easy, lightweight for a traffic thing. Obviously, right now you would have to push 60 megs of a container, but if you plugged it in and then unplugged it again, I'd be curious to see if your iPerfing worked.
Yeah, I'll give
to
it a
that
try.
address.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, guys. Well, we're a little over the hour. We had a 50% success rate. We'll take it. Well, actually, a 66.6% if we include John's, although he did his yesterday or 2 days ago now. But we'll take it. So chalk it up to my demo failed, but at least yours are working. Anything else?
That's about
think
it.
we covered all of it. I mean, the build was fun. I've actually got a really fast blinking blue light now. I power cycled mine. I have to wonder if I'm about to get some connectivity. Alan, what is yours? Yours is.
I'm sorry, mine just started flashing really fast.
Wait a minute. Hold on a minute. Mine just came online. Yes. All right. With a minute to spare. A minute to spare. Hold on. Where did my screen share go? Add that back.
I was thinking like it shouldn't require any other connectivity.
No.
I think that reboot is key.
I wonder if my power cycle did it or if mine was just being slow. But I'm online. It worked. So I power cycled it. Okay, fine. But
back up to 100%.
100% success rate. We did it. I was hoping to do it within an hour. We definitely took 14 extra minutes, but that's okay. Well,
can you click on the device itself?
Yeah.
Is that it should have some of the stats at the top too, shouldn't it? Yeah. So you're getting the proper readings in the top right.
Yep. I've got the feature we built. I see iShotJR made a comment about, is this happy hour one of the 12-hour marathon sessions? And for those who missed it last week, we did and it was only 11 and a half hours to be honest, but we did a release party where we built a feature end to end, start to finish on a live stream. And it was this feature up here at the top right on the screen, which has CPU, temperature, memory, and storage. The engineers were all on the stream, front-end design folks and API folks. And we literally built it in, again, 11 and a half hours, but it was a lot of fun. So yeah, this stream is not going to be 11 and a half hours. Sorry, iShotJR. But yeah, so I've got it online. I've got an IP address here, and I've got data flowing. We're good. We made it 100%. All right.
Sweet.
I think we should probably better end now while we're ahead. Yeah, better end now on a high note.
All right.
All right.
We'll see you guys next week.
All right, guys. Thanks, Alan. Thanks for following along with your build over there. Thanks, John, for teaching us how to do it. Otherwise, I think Alan and I would have probably struggled. And we will catch everyone next week. All right. Bye, everybody.
Hello.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.